Love doesn't die in the storm, it drowns in the silence between lies. I learned this on a Tuesday evening in March, standing in our kitchen with wet hair and his phone in my hand. The dishwasher hummed its familiar rhythm. Steam from the shower still clung to my shoulders. Outside, a dog barked twice, then stopped. The whole world felt ordinary, which is the cruelest part. How catastrophe arrives wearing the mask of routine. His phone had been face down on the counter when I came downstairs. The screen lit up once, twice. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just drying my hands with the blue dish towel we'd bought together at Target, the one with the frayed corner he always said we should replace. But the notification glowed there anyway. Jessica liked you back. This isn't fiction. This is how trust dies, one notification at a time. We had been together for 4 years, not married, but living as if we were. Shared lease, shared furniture, shared mornings where we moved around each other in comfortable silence. He made coffee too strong. I always added milk until it turned the color of sand. We had a routine. He showered first while I packed lunches, then we'd swap. The bathroom mirror would still be fogged when I stepped inside, the air thick with his soap and steam. He worked in marketing. I worked from home, writing copy for a medical device company. Our days overlapped in predictable ways. Texts at lunch, a quick call around 3, dinner around 7:30. We ordered Thai food every Friday. We watched the same 3 shows. We argued about whether to get a dog. Small, ordinary things that felt like building a life. There were imperfections, of course. He stayed up too late scrolling through his phone. I was too particular about how the dishwasher was loaded. He forgot to text back sometimes. I reminded him too often. But we were happy. Or rather, we had convinced ourselves that comfort was the same as happiness, and neither of us had questioned it. 6 months earlier, we'd had the conversation. It started after a friend's wedding, after too much wine and the looseness that comes with it. I'd asked him, casually, without weight, if he ever missed dating, if he ever wondered what else was out there. He'd looked at me with something like surprise. "No," he said. "I'm done with all that." I'd believed him. Why wouldn't I? He showed me his phone that night, unprompted. Pulled up the dating apps he'd used before me, Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, and deleted them one by one right there at the kitchen table. Made a small ceremony of it. "There," he said, setting the phone down between us. "See? Just you." I'd kissed him for that. Felt stupid for even asking. I didn't know then that trust is built on what we choose not to verify. I didn't know that I would spend the next 6 months sleeping beside a man who only pretended to be present, who had simply learned to hide his screen better. The notification glowed again. "Jessica liked you back." My hands were steady as I picked up the phone. I knew his passcode. He'd never hidden it from me. 4 digits. His childhood dog's birth year. A small intimacy I'd once found sweet. The phone unlocked easily, too easily. Hinge opened to an active profile. His face smiled back at me from the screen, a photo I'd taken last summer at his sister's barbecue. He was wearing the blue shirt I'd given him for his birthday. The bio read, "Marketing guy who makes a mean carbonara, looking for someone who can keep up with my terrible jokes." His terrible jokes, the ones I'd been listening to for 4 years. I scrolled through his messages. 3 active conversations. Jessica, who liked hiking and craft beer. Megan, who worked in finance. Priya, who had sent him her number 2 days ago. 2 days ago, when we'd had dinner with my parents. 2 days ago, when he'd held my hand across the table and laughed at my father's stories. My legs carried me to the living room. I sat on the couch, our couch, the gray one we'd agonized over at IKEA, the one that had taken us 3 hours to assemble while we argued about which piece was panel F. I stared at the wall where we'd hung a print of the Golden Gate Bridge, a city we'd visited together last fall. I'd been happy there. Or I thought I had been. The front door opened. His keys hit the ceramic bowl on the entry table with their usual clink. "Hey," he called out. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane." I said nothing, just sat there with his phone in my lap, screen dark now, as if holding evidence that might evaporate if I looked away. He appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. "You okay?" "When did you re-download it?" My voice sounded calm, distant, like someone else was speaking with my mouth. He froze, one hand still on his tie, the other dropping to his side. "What?" I held up the phone. The color left his face in stages. First confusion, then recognition, then something that looked almost like relief, as if being caught was easier than continuing to hide. "That's not," he started, then stopped. We both knew there was no sentence that could finish that thought honestly. I waited. The refrigerator hummed in the kitchen. A car passed outside, its headlights sliding across our wall like a searchlight. "It's nothing," he finally said. "It doesn't mean anything." "You told me you deleted it." "I did." "You didn't." He moved into the room but didn't sit. Stayed standing near the bookshelf, one hand braced against it as if the floor had tilted. "I downloaded it again, a few months ago, but I haven't met anyone. It's just looking. Just looking. As if desire could be categorized, as if intent didn't matter once action arrived." "You're messaging them," I said. "Jessica, Megan, Priya." He flinched at the names. Hearing me speak them made them real. "It's just conversation," he said. "I swear, I've never met any of them. I wouldn't." "But you wanted to." He didn't answer. The silence confirmed everything. I set his phone on the coffee table, screen down. Couldn't look at his face anymore. "How long?" "What?" "How long have you been doing this?" A pause. Too long. "A few months." "How many is a few?" 4, maybe 5. 5 months. Nearly half a year of lying, of coming home and kissing me hello, of sleeping beside me, of pretending the life we'd built was enough. "Why?" I asked. Not angry yet, just baffled, trying to understand how the person I trusted most had become someone I didn't recognize. He sank onto the arm of the couch, still not close enough to touch. "I don't know." That's not an answer. I don't have a better one. He rubbed his face with both hands. "I love you, I do, but sometimes I wanted to feel like someone new was interested in me, like I was still interesting." "I'm interested in you." "I know, but you know me, all of me, the boring parts, the annoying parts." He looked at me finally, and his eyes were red. "They don't know any of that yet. It's easier. Easier." He'd chosen easier over honest. "Did you sleep with any of them?" The question tasted like rust. "No, God, no. I told you I never even met them." "Did you want to?" Another pause, then quietly. "Sometimes I thought about it. Thought about it. Imagined it. Planned it, maybe." Only logistics or fear or guilt had kept his body from following where his mind had already gone. I stood, needed to move, to do something with the energy screaming inside my chest. "I need you to leave." "Leave?" "Just for tonight. Go to your brother's. Go anywhere. I don't care. I just can't look at you right now." He stood too, reaching for me. "We should talk about this." "We just did." I stepped back before his hand could find my arm. "Please, go." He looked at me for a long moment as if waiting for me to change my mind. When I didn't, he nodded, walked to the bedroom, came back with his wallet and jacket, picked up his phone from the coffee table without meeting my eyes. At the door, he stopped. "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. Couldn't. If I opened my mouth, something would break open that I wasn't ready to release. The door closed behind him. The lock clicked into place. The house settled into a silence so complete I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway, a sound I'd never noticed before, though it had been there all along. The first night without him, I didn't sleep, just lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to remember when he'd changed. Or had he always been this person, and I'd simply been too comfortable to see it? I replayed conversations, re-examined moments. Every time he'd been distant, every time he'd turned his phone face down, every time he'd showered immediately after work, as if washing something away. The evidence had always been there. I'd just been too trusting to collect it. Architected narrative arc spanning relationship dissolution with sensory detail. I need to continue the story through the rest of the acts. Let me keep going with the unraveling, showing how she processes this, how the relationship limps forward or doesn't, the slow dissolution, then move to fallout, reckoning, and legacy. I need to maintain the quiet, devastating tone and use specific sensory details. I'm at about 1,700 words, so I need to write about 2,300 more to reach 4,000. Let me continue with her processing the days after, maybe him trying to come back, the dynamic changing, and the slow realization of what's been lost. Morning came gray and cold. I made coffee for one. The pot seemed too large. I poured it into my usual mug and left his hanging on the hook, untouched. He texted around 9. Can we talk? I didn't respond. He texted again at lunch. I know you need space. Just want you to know I'm thinking about you, thinking about me, while his profile stayed active, while Jessica and Megan and Priya waited in his phone for responses he'd probably already sent. I went to work, sat at my desk, and wrote product descriptions for surgical instruments, my fingers typing words about precision and reliability while my mind circled the same questions. Had he stopped? Would he stop? Could I believe anything he said? That evening, he came home, let himself in with his key as if nothing had changed, found me in the bedroom, folding laundry. Hey, he said softly. I kept folding. A shirt. His shirt. I held it for a moment, feeling the weight of cotton and detergent and all the times I'd washed his clothes without thinking it meant anything except care. I deleted it, he said. For real this time, I deleted them all. I set the shirt down. Okay. Okay? He sounded surprised, hopeful. What do you want me to say? Congratulations? No, He sat on the edge of the bed. I want to fix this. You can't delete what you did, I said. It doesn't work like that. I know, but I can try to make it right. I looked at him then, really looked. Same face I'd woken up beside for 4 years. Same hands that had held mine. Same voice that had said, I love you, every night before sleep. All of it exactly the same, except now I knew what it concealed. Did you message them today? I asked. No. Did you tell them why you stopped responding? He hesitated. No. So they just think you ghosted them? I guess. Don't you think they deserve to know why? His jaw tightened. They don't deserve anything. They weren't real. They were real enough for you to flirt with. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I picked up another shirt, shook it out harder than necessary. You asked me to trust you 6 months ago. I did, and you used that trust to lie to me every single day since. I didn't lie. You just didn't tell the truth, which is the same thing. I folded the shirt precisely, creased the sleeves just so. Every time you came home and asked about my day, every time we had dinner, every time we watched TV on this couch, you were thinking about them, about who might have messaged you about what you'd say back. He didn't deny it. Did you think about them when we had sex? The question came out flat, clinical. His face crumpled. Sometimes. The word sat between us like a third person in the room. I nodded slowly, set down the laundry, walked past him to the kitchen. He followed. I don't know if I can do this, I said to the sink, not to him. Do what? This, us, any of it. I gripped the counter's edge. I don't know how to be with someone I don't trust. You can trust me now. Can I? I turned to face him. How do I know you won't just re-download it next week, next month? Because I won't. You said that before. He had no answer to that. We stood in the kitchen where he'd deleted the apps the first time, where I'd believed him, where we'd built our small routines into something we called love. The dishwasher hummed, the clock ticked. Everything continued as if the center hadn't fallen out. I think you should stay at your brother's for a while, I said. I need time. How much time? I don't know. He left again. This time he took more clothes. The house felt enormous without him. Every room echoed. I started leaving the TV on for noise, just to fill the silence with voices that weren't mine. I slept on his side of the bed one night, trying to understand what he saw when he lay there. The ceiling looked the same. The shadows moved the same. Whatever he'd been searching for, it wasn't written in the walls. My friends called it a betrayal. My mother called it a mistake. His brother called me apologetic, asking if there was anything he could do. I thanked him and said no. What could anyone do? The damage wasn't the kind that showed. There were no bruises, no yelling, just the slow erosion of everything I'd thought was solid. I looked at my own reflection differently, wondered what he'd seen that made him swipe through other faces. Was I too familiar, too predictable? Had I stopped being interesting without noticing? The questions felt like shame wearing a disguise of curiosity. I checked his profile twice more over the next week. I couldn't help it. Downloaded the app on my own phone, created a fake profile with someone else's photos, and searched for him. His profile was gone. He'd told the truth about that, at least. But I couldn't stop imagining all the conversations I'd never see, the jokes he'd made for other women, the version of himself he'd performed for strangers while I folded his laundry and believed we were building something permanent. 3 weeks passed. He texted every day. Small messages, never demanding. Hope you had a good day. Saw a dog that looked like the one we talked about getting. Miss you. I responded sometimes. One-word answers that gave nothing away. He asked to come home on a Thursday evening, and I said yes. Not because I'd forgiven him, not because anything was fixed, but because living alone had taught me that absence didn't solve anything. It just postponed the conversation I didn't want to have. We sat in the living room again. Same couch, different people. I saw a therapist, he said. Twice. Okay. She said I was self-sabotaging, that I was afraid of commitment, even though I claimed I wanted it. I waited. She said I needed to figure out why I need validation from strangers more than I value the person I'm with. He looked at his hands. I don't have an answer yet. Do you think you will? I hope so. Hope. Such a small word for such a heavy task. I don't know if I can wait for you to figure it out, I said. I'm not asking you to wait. I'm asking you to try with me. Try what? To trust you again? To pretend it didn't happen? To see if we can rebuild? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I know I broke this. I know it's my fault, but I don't want to lose you. You already did, I said quietly. The version of me that trusted you completely, she's gone. You killed her the moment you swiped right on someone else. His eyes filled. I'm so sorry. I know you are. And I meant it. I believed his regret. But regret doesn't unbreak what's shattered. It just sits among the pieces, useless and heavy. So what do? He asked. I don't know. We sat in silence. Outside, children played in the street, their voices bright and careless. A car alarm went off and stopped. The world continued its indifferent spin. I think you should move out, I said finally. Officially. He nodded slowly as if he'd been expecting it. Can I ask why? Because I need to know who I am without you, and you need to know who you are when you're not hiding. I met his eyes. We can't fix this while we're pretending everything's normal. It's not normal. It won't be normal for a long time. Does this mean we're over? I don't know, maybe. I pulled my knees to my chest. But I know we can't be together right now, not like this. He cried then, quiet, contained, the way men cry when they're trying not to. I didn't move to comfort him. Couldn't. That instinct had been one of the things that broke. I love you, he said through tears. I need you to know that. I know. And I did. That was the cruelest part. I believed he loved me. He'd just loved the excitement of possibility more, or loved himself too little to believe I was enough. He moved out over the course of 2 weekends, took his books, his clothes, the framed photos of his family, left the couch, the kitchen table, the dishes we'd chosen together. We divided our life with the precision of surgeons, trying to cut cleanly when there was no clean way to separate 4 years of merged existence. The apartment felt different after he left. Not just empty, transformed. The rooms rearranged themselves in my mind. The bedroom was mine now. The closet held only my clothes. I bought new sheets, changed the furniture around, tried to make the space feel like a beginning instead of an ending. I didn't hate him. That surprised me. I'd expected anger, rage, the kind of bitter fury that burns hot and bright. But what I felt was more like grief. I mourned the relationship we'd had, the one I'd believed in. I mourned the version of him I'd loved, the one who existed only in my understanding of who he was. That man was gone, replaced by someone more complicated, more flawed, more real. Sometimes I missed him, missed the mundane parts, The coffee routine, the shows, the comfortable silence. I'd catch myself turning to tell him something, only to remember he wasn't there. The habit of him lingered longer than his actual presence. Months passed. Fall became winter. I went to therapy myself, spent an hour every week talking to a woman with kind eyes about trust and boundaries and the stories we tell ourselves about love. She asked me once if I thought I'd ever be with him again. I don't know, I had said. Part of me wants to believe people can change, that he's learned something. And the other part? The other part knows that some things break too completely to be repaired. We texted occasionally. Polite updates, careful questions. He was living with his brother, still seeing the therapist, working on himself in ways he claimed were real. I told him I was glad, and I was. Not because I wanted him back, but because I wanted him to be better. For himself, for whoever came next. One evening in December, he asked if we could meet for coffee. I said yes. We met at the cafe where we'd had our first date, though neither of us mentioned it. Sat across from each other like acquaintances catching up. He looked different, thinner, tired, older somehow, as if truth had aged him. "How are you?" he asked. "I'm okay. You?" "Better, some days." He stirred his coffee, though he hadn't added anything to it. "I wanted to tell you something." I waited. I figured out why I did it, or at least part of why. He looked up. "I was terrified of how much I loved you, of how much it would hurt if it ended. So I tried to control the narrative. If I was the one looking elsewhere, if I was the one with options, then I had power over the hurt." "That doesn't make sense," I said. "I know, but it felt like sense to me. Like if I could keep one foot out the door, I wouldn't be trapped." "Trapped by what?" "By needing you too much." His voice cracked slightly. "By being vulnerable. By admitting that I'd built my whole life around you. And if you left, I'd have nothing. I absorbed this, tried to find sympathy, and found only sadness." "So you left first, emotionally." "Yeah." "That's cruel," I said, not angry, just factual. "I know." We sat in silence. Steam rose from our cups, dissipating into air. "I don't want to get back together," I said. "I think you know that." He nodded. "I do. But I want you to know I don't hate you. I did at first, but now I understand you a little better. And I'm sorry you were so afraid. I'm sorry I hurt you." "Me too." We finished our coffee, hugged briefly at the door, the kind of hug that's more about closure than affection. Then we walked in opposite directions, and I didn't look back. Spring came eventually, the way it always does. I repainted the bedroom, bought new plants for the windowsills, started dating again, though tentatively, with defenses I hadn't needed before. I was more careful now, more skeptical. Trust felt like a gift I could no longer give freely, something earned in increments over time. I thought about him less frequently. When I did, it was with a kind of distant curiosity, like remembering a version of myself I no longer recognized. That woman who'd believed in the permanence of routine, who'd thought comfort was the same as safety. She belonged to another life. Sometimes late at night, I'd remember specific moments. Not the betrayal, but the ordinary ones. The way he'd laugh at his own jokes before reaching the punchline. The warmth of his hand on the small of my back. The particular way he said my name, drawing out the last syllable just slightly. Those memories didn't hurt anymore. They just existed, like photographs of a place I'd once lived but no longer visited. A year after he moved out, I saw his profile again. Not on a dating app, but on social media. He was dating someone new. She looked happy. He looked happy. I felt nothing except a quiet kind of peace. Whatever we'd had, whatever we'd broken, it belonged to the past. We'd both moved on, carrying our scars privately. I never told the new women he dated what he'd done to me. It wasn't my place. Every relationship is its own ecosystem, its own chemistry. Maybe he'd learned. Maybe he hadn't. Either way, it was no longer my problem to solve. People ask me sometimes how I got over it. I never had a good answer. You don't get over betrayal like you get over a cold. You just learn to carry it differently. You integrate it into your understanding of how the world works, how people work, how you work. It changes you. Makes you wiser, maybe. Certainly harder, but also more honest. I learned that love is not enough on its own. That comfort can be a kind of prison, that the scariest moment is not discovering betrayal. It's realizing you'd been living beside it all along, mistaking its silence for peace. I learned that trust, once broken, can never be fully restored. You can build something new, but it will always carry the memory of fracture, the knowledge that what felt unbreakable once shattered anyway. Mostly I learned that I could survive it, that heartbreak doesn't kill you, even when it feels like it should, that the morning still comes, that coffee still tastes good, that you can rebuild a life from the pieces of the one you lost, and sometimes the new version fits better anyway. I still live in that apartment, the one we shared. I thought about moving, but in the end, I stayed, reclaimed it, made it mine. The rooms no longer echo with his presence. They've filled with new memories, new routines, a new version of normal that belongs only to me. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I think about the night I found his phone on the counter, the notification that changed everything. Part of me wishes I'd never looked, that I'd stayed blind a little longer, comfortable in my ignorance. But the larger part of me knows the truth was always coming. Deception has a shelf life. Eventually, everything hidden surfaces. I just happened to be the one who found it first, rather than waiting for it to find me. I don't regret the 4 years we had. They were real, in their way. Flawed and incomplete, but real. He taught me what I could tolerate and what I couldn't. He showed me the difference between being loved and being chosen every day. He made me stronger, though not in the way he intended. And late at night, when the apartment is still and the world feels very far away, I sometimes whisper the truth I couldn't speak then. I didn't lose him. I found myself.